agora, tentando cumprir o horário, nosso amigo Eldon Sprickerhoff. Eldon vem da Eldon vem diretamente de Toronto e vai falar com a gente sobre ataques em sistemas Nortel, sobre tá. Então, com vocês, Eldon.
So I typically speak really fast. So if I go too fast, bang something. Oh, bang movies in the head. Okay, so Nortel. They're Canadian, so am I. But I did a Google on Nortel Brazil, and off the website, they have a pretty significant presence in Brazil. I thought was pretty interesting. They're in the telecom sector, so this might apply. So, what do we think was interesting about this? Besides the fact that they're in our backyard, there's not a lot. If you go on Security, you'll find that there's not a very big attack tree on their products, especially on the voice side. And I always said that they seem to get off pretty easy when compared to Cisco and Avaya. I call this the ugly stepsister system. So we have clients that use Nortel IP, and they're willing to let us play in their environment. So, start off with sort of some misconceptions. We'll blast through these. One thing that I've noticed about a lot of situations is if you don't understand something, you're afraid of it. So, a lot of IP telephony implementations are done by external consultants. So it's not really understood by the voice group. They're still used to the hardwired phone system. They're not necessarily understood by the network group. And so, as we talk about security on the voice side, like, oh, you guys are chicken little. The sky is falling, oh yeah, hackers are going to take over. If we look at what Gartner says, voice threats in this hype cycle. So it's not quite at the hype cycle up here. But they say, we're pretty much separated. We're not concerned about security. So these are some of the misconceptions that we've heard from clients when I've asked them. So what do you think about security on your IP telephony? I said, well, it's proprietary, so you can't eavesdrop. I tried it myself with a packet capture. VLAN. Couldn't get an MP3 file. VLAN. All these good excuses for not worrying about security. So what we did was, because we couldn't find very many details about the protocol itself, got online, basically put a hub in the middle. I like to use OpenBSD. I'm comfortable with it. It's got good VLAN bridge support. So got online, took a look at what was actually going on, and went through this very arduous trick of every single combination that we could think about, do a data capture. So we take the phone off the hook, what does that look like on a network perspective? Speakerphone, check voicemail. So it goes through all these different things that we call. This is the one I highlighted. We'll get to that one later. I liked it a lot. So anyways, the protocol that they use is called Unistim. It's not SIP. There's patents out of it. Asterisk has some documentation, but it's not a working model yet. So at UDP, so this is the structure of the protocol. I'm just going to blast through this. The sequence number incrementally increments by 1, so it's pretty easy to brute force. And when you start playing with the protocol, building up the tool set, even when you send it the wrong sequence number, it sends an ACK back. But you'll get error messages as well. So let's just blast through this. Basically, there's tags on the client that you can say what commands you want to send to the phone or to the PBX. So very, very quickly, headset boots up with HTTP. Unistim is the conversation between the PBX and the end unit. And then if you're setting up a phone call, RTP is used. So they'll tell you that they use support SIP and H323. It doesn't support anything other than Unisim without a proxy. It's not open source. Again, like I said, you get partial channel driver in asterisk, but it looks like an old version of the Unisim. So I should very briefly break this down in a CIA perspective. Confidentiality. It's just RTP, so you can reassemble phone calls. Wireshark already has a plugin, pretty much easy to do it. You can sniff the packets. There's no encryption by default, so you can just make the call. Integrity, sequence numbers, you can sniff it. You can modify packets. There's no check that's in place to do it. Again, you can, in the control stream, you can sniff the stream, or actively query the channel to see what's the proper sequence number is currently being used. Am I talking too fast? Are we good? Okay.
What for me?
Too fast? Slower? We're good?
Everything's on the slides.
Yeah. So availability, again, everything is wide open. Everything is wide open. And so you can pretty much spoof anything you want. So you have very little error correction. So it makes it a lot of fun. So you just start sending packets. It's very easy to bring the end phone down if you send the invalid sequence numbers to. So, why stop at just taking a single phone down when we take the call manager down? So, this is sort of the general grouping of attacks that we used. I'm sure there's other ones, but these, when we went into do the client that let us play with their equipment, it gave us time, Sunday morning, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And so we only had a certain amount of time to try these attacks out. So we can quickly nmap. There's a lot of open ports here. There's a lot to play with. SNMP again, so you can get a lot of information out of this. So we did some just very simple attacks with SIM floods. Half open packets, very well defended against it, but certain the fuzz, it's incredibly weak. How weak? So there's this thing called AMAP crap by THC, very simple program that just throws tons of garbage out. So this command right here, about 5-10 seconds takes down your primary. If you're sniffing the traffic at the same time, you can take a look and see the secondary if it happens. So just a simple command, 5 seconds, you see the phones completely go down. If they have a secondary PBX, maybe 30 seconds later it comes up. So then you AMAP crap. The secondary, the phones come back up, they've got a tertiary. So pretty simple to do. Like I said, that's really, it doesn't get a lot easier to take down your phone system. Pretty much any bootable Linux CD has this program on it. It's brainless to bring it down. So we start looking at the protocol itself. We wrote some code that sends 100K pick up the phone, hang up the phone, pick up the phone really quickly, and didn't like that either. Within 10 seconds, it takes down the PBX. It has to go through the whole reboot cycle again. So RTP packet, it's just RTP, so we figured out, let's see what we can inject into the stream. So we sent a 2,000 kilohertz tone, it was a 2,000 hertz tone, which is incredibly high, and drop it off. And we didn't really know what it was going to sound like. What it ends up sounding like is somebody gets a needle and sticks it right in your ear. Because it goes up and down, like this is the square wave, up and down. So we picked up the up and down and low. He wouldn't even say hi. So this works really well in band and out of band because you get the sample of your sequence. So you don't even need to be in between the phone and the PBX. So this is sort of the brute force. They have a sequence number that you can have that theoretically has 32 bits, but technically should be be a lot more difficult to exhaust that space, but the first 16 bits is always 0. So you can brute force it in about a minute. So what's good about this? You can dial any phone number that you want and pretend to be from somebody else. So just, how do you want to get somebody fired? Just figure out who you want to call. So figure out your boss's wife, your boss's phone number, and somebody that sits next to you don't like. Initiate a call from their phone to your boss's phone, home phone, other phone, 1-900. Leaves no trace unless somebody's scanning the whole voice VLAN. Very nice. And even then, they'd have to take a look at the switch level to see what packets were going up. Pretty tough to trace that. Terminate connection, again, very much like a reset packet. Anything that's said, any conversation, once you can figure out the sequence number, any active call. This is the mode that I really, really like. This last line, I don't know for sure about Brazil, but anywhere I've ever been, it's illegal to eavesdrop on people. What you end up doing is you send a command to the Mark's phone that says, hit the speakerphone, initiate the call back to your own phone. They never hear, unless they're looking at the phone, they don't notice that their phone has been taken offline and put the speakerphone. And you can hear everything that they're doing. It's great. And it's illegal. So instead of having to tap the phone and assemble the RTP packets and figure out what their calls are, just it's 3 packets sent. It's 3 packets that are sent, and listen in on the conversation. Again, very legal. The code. This is one thing we've got brute force passwords. By default, Telnet and HTTP are left open. There's a solid database that's left in line, DBA. But really, 1111, you can pretty much do anything you want. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So I was talking about tertiary, once your primary and secondary are taken down. They have a thing called a media card, which is sort of your last, in case both PBXs go down, you have emergency phone access. There's 16 or 32 phones per card that are hardwired in case of fire or things like this. It only has UDP ports open, so it's like a mini PBX that they deliver. So we tried a bunch of attacks against it, and the attacks that work on the PBX don't work against the media card. So I was like, well, that kind of sucks. But as we were going through the assessment, one of my guys who was on site said, you know what, I've been working on this fuzzer that's specific to this protocol. Can you give it a try? Again, fuzzing attacks. So if you send a null data packet to the media card on that, it brings down the whole card. So 16 or 32 phones, and these are the emergency ones, goes down even for 1 packet. And what I liked about it the best is, you look at the front of the media card itself. I thought a nice big LED. It was bright red. So I love the context. It's dead. 1 packet. You should have seen they had the client who let us do this, they had a guy on site who was in charge of rolling it out, and his job, 1 packet is dead. So, responsible disclosure, they did the whole thing, they said, send a packet capture. I don't think they ever got such a small packet capture. It's really, it was 1 packet. You didn't even have to really say what this IP was, what would that be? 1 packet. I said, the more you can provide, the quicker it's like 1 packet. What more do you mind? All the test.
How hard is it to replicate?
It wasn't. It wasn't hard. But they didn't believe us. I think they got a lot of.
It didn't take 5 minutes.
It didn't take very long. So I said, well, tell us what tools you used. That would be great too as well. We wrote our own tools, and we're not going to give them up to you quite yet. But anyways, the security thing, they did bring out a patch pretty quickly. But if you go through what they consider best practice, they have a document called Securing Multimedia and IP Telephony. They go through this hardware controller because they could sell more equipment, so they couldn't build it into the PBX itself. They have staple filters. They recommend DOS engine and lock down your switch. Pretty typical things they suggest here. Nobody does this. And so when it comes out of this, they basically say, blame the people who implemented your system. We gave you all the tools you need to do this. And the quote that I got was, it came up and showed there's a mini firewall that you can enable on the platform. It says, does your SQL server offer you the security granularity deleter? There was a vulnerability that came out. They said this is a fix. We recommend that customers restrict direct access to the ELAN, the embedded LAN, from unknown devices. Well, that's not helpful. Especially when somebody, breaks open a piece of equipment and puts, wireless part inside. And so you're like, we're segregated. You plug this in, just connecting through wireless, and you're on the network. Not all that helpful. So I say, what a PITA is? Pain in the ass. And it is. Security is a pain in the ass. It's so much easier just to roll it out and get dialed on, oh yeah, we're good, let's go home. And it can be a problem, especially in voice where you're going through trying to do encryption between. You might want to different revs talk well to each other. You're going country to country, it doesn't work well. After it's installed, it's very difficult to justify politically. I think we might have to upgrade the security on this. Why didn't you do this earlier? They don't often patch these things well. Not very many people have two PBX systems that they can test, so they test the patch on one. So, really, they talk about just basic So again, very simple measures that they've got that say block the protocol. I guess the thing that's most important about this is to do it right at the beginning because you'll never get to it otherwise. So going again through these misconceptions, it's a proprietary protocol, but you can extract the traffic. If you only have VLAN traffic, you need to use your VLAN decoder ring. All these are basically false. And Nessus didn't catch anything, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily safe. SIP firewall is great. It's not going to help you any. It's just another piece of hardware for you to buy. But people do want to buy them. So, aside from the surveillance mode, what I really like is change display. So I got Luis to do some translation for me, so I can't guarantee that they're right. So you can. So yeah, that's good. I think we lost a letter at the end. It's an S, but we got a limitation. Really want to screw with people at work, and this is the. It might just push them over the edge. So be careful with this tool. So let's try to come up with a name for this tool that we're replacing. The protocol is called Unistim. There was this cartoon, Ren and Stimpy. The best they did was Unistimpy. So we released it.
I want to be an iPhone. I want to be an iPhone? Yeah, I just
you're very sexy, I think is the first one. So we released this thing, Unistimpy. It works against Nortel's wired, wireless, and software clients. We're still working on tweaking the NG code that has the fuzzer and eavesdropping code. It works, just want to make sure it works in more than just our sort of test environment. The guys at call.com tested it a couple of times, and it's pretty cool. It does what it says it's supposed to do, so we'll have it released shortly. Thank you. I want to thank the guys setting up this on. I think it worked out really well. My guys that's helped me with setting up some of the slides. Clients that let's clear their gears. Nortel for giving us something to play with. And thank you for your time. If you have any questions, email me. Get a card from me. Email me anytime.
Buy him a beer.
Buy him a beer. I do drink at time to time. And that's it.
All right.
Thank you.